Chapter 6, The Visitor. But in his bedroom, there was still an unconscious assassin, so there was no time for questions. He immediately spoke, "Someone came to kill me, and I've knocked them out. They're lying on the floor." The blind teenager tilted his head slightly, his face devoid of emotion, and bowed politely. "Young Master Fan, why are you talking nonsense? No time for acting mysterious here. You have to take care of this." Fan Xian chuckled and thought that it was too late for pretenses. He grabbed the blind teenager's hand and began walking in the direction of the Earl's mansion. "Young Master is still talking nonsense." The blind teenager furrowed his brow slightly, seeming puzzled about why this child in front of him appeared to know his identity. When he had brought the infant Fan Xian to Danzhou, Fan Xian was only a few months old and should have no memory of him. Could it be that the old lady of the Earl's mansion had revealed his identity to Fan Xian? It was late at night, and in the distance, a few mournful dog barks could be heard. It seemed that someone had mistakenly knocked on the wrong door while trying to use the bathroom. The blind teenager named Wuzhu remained cold and composed. He listened to Fan Xian's words and then finally made his move. He closed the door to the grocery store and started walking towards the Earl's mansion. Fan Xian breathed a sigh of relief and followed behind him with quick steps. When they arrived outside the Earl's mansion, the two of them crawled back through the dog hole and stood in the bedroom, observing the unconscious assassin on the floor. Fan Xian looked at the person on the ground, unsure if they were alive or dead, and felt a bit nervous. He then asked, "Uncle Wuzhu, why have you been staying at the grocery store all these years and couldn't acknowledge me?" The blind teenager, known as Wuzhu, tilted his head again and, after a while, responded, "Young Master, you truly surprise me." He was genuinely taken aback. Although he knew that the child in front of him was the young lady's child and was bound to have some distinctive qualities, Wuzhu had not expected that at the age of just 4, this child would appear so mature and would be capable of plotting against Lord Fei who had come to Kyoto. "Let's deal with this person first," Fan Xian said as he struggled to flip the assassin over and removed his mask, revealing the assassin's true face. The assassin had a thin and haggard appearance, and he seemed to be aged. There was a scattering of white in his beard, but strangely, amidst the white, there were traces of a sickly green color, which looked rather nauseating. Fan Xian was startled and jumped behind Uncle Wuzhu, grabbing onto his sleeve, and with a distressed expression, he said, "Uncle, this assassin looks really bad." "This is Lord Fei's chief operative from the 3rd Bureau of the Surveillance Court." Uncle Wuzhu squatted down slowly and touched the assassin's chin. "He is one of the top 3 experts in poison use in the world, proficient in the use, identification, and antidote of poisons. It's quite surprising that such a formidable person met his end by a porcelain pillow at your hands. I wonder if it's your good luck or his bad luck." "It's definitely his bad luck," Fan Xian thought to himself. While he was astonished by the assassin's reputation, he couldn't help but think that the assassin's luck was truly unfortunate to cross paths with someone who appeared to be a baby but was actually a 2 lifetimes old monster. "Don't touch him with your hands. What if he has poison on him?" Fan Xian reminded the blind teenager, Wuzhu. Wuzhu didn't stop his actions or offer an explanation, but the strength in his movements seemed to convey to Fan Xian that there was no poison in this world that could harm him. Fan Xian furrowed his brow and asked with a distressed expression, "Uncle, what should we do with this person?" He wasn't naturally friendly by nature, but in this world, the blind teenager before him was the first person he had met, the only person he dared to trust completely. He also knew that this young man was a formidable expert. So, he made an effort to be more amiable and respectful, frequently addressing him as uncle. His gaze wandered around the room, finally landing on the knife. Fan Xian clenched his teeth, thinking that maybe he should just kill this Lord Fei to be done with it. Sensing his intentions, Wuzhu stood up and shook his head. "Your temperament differs greatly from the young lady's. At such a tender age, to be so ruthless and heartless, I wonder who taught you." "I learned it myself," Fan Xian said respectfully, not daring to offend the only person he trusted in this world. He continued, "Nephew knows that uncle has been guarding me in the grocery store and that you stayed away from the Earl's mansion because you were afraid that my mother's enemies might find me because of you. So, nephew had no choice but to toughen up. Wu Zhu shook his head again, saying nothing. Fan Xian realized that his mother's skilled servant was beginning to suspect him. He chuckled and asked, "Uncle, what should we do next?" His intention was clear. He was suggesting that Uncle Wu Zhu should take care of the matter, particularly the part involving violence. However, to Fan Xian's surprise, Uncle Wu Zhu calmly replied, "Young master, you've made a mistake." "Ah? I made a mistake?" Fan Xian was dumbfounded, slowly lowering his head to look at the assassin covered in blood on the ground. "But since you've already attacked, you don't need to worry too much," Uncle Wu Zhu said calmly. "Lord Fei is the head of the 3rd Division of the Surveillance Bureau. In fact, in secret, he's under your father's command. So, if he came to Danyang this time, it shouldn't be to assassinate you. If he really had come to kill you, I believe no matter how capable you are, you would have died countless times already." Fan Xian finally remembered that the assassin on the ground had claimed to be sent by his father earlier, but... Fan Xian muttered to himself, "Seriously, he looks just like Teabag. Who would believe an old pervert like him?" In recent years, Fei Jia had been stationed at the Material Science Department of the Kyoto Supervisory Institute. He was in his 50s and, despite having some reputation as a poison expert, he was mostly in a semi-retired state. If it weren't for a powerful figure asking him to come to Danzhou for a lecture, and if he didn't have the courage to refuse, he would have never left Kyoto. However, to his surprise, the first student he met nearly beat him to death, leaving him bleeding and battered. He had never expected such an encounter with a student who, despite his young age, had nearly taken his life. Fei Jia looked at the young boy in front of him. The boy had an innocent and adorable face, with big, shimmering eyes that held a mixture of fear and embarrassment. Such a cute face, combined with the boy's young age, left Fei Jia with no place to vent his anger. Turning to a servant-like figure, Fei Jia prepared to direct his anger towards him. "Hey, you! Hurry up and release me. I am Professor Fei, who was highly paid by the Count to come here." However, the servant, who seemed even prouder than Fei Jia, ignored him completely and replied coldly, "I don't recall your role as a teacher in the agreement between us and your superior." Hearing the name Wu, Fei Jia widened his eyes, looking at the servant with a shocked expression. He realized that the servant was none other than Wu, a powerful figure he had previously underestimated. Listening to the awakening assassin now referring to himself as Fei Jia, Fan Xian found this situation increasingly perplexing.